Ladies and gentlemen, it is the Homemade Broadcast, episode 459, live stream / podcast. Bear with me just a moment. Home producer, get rid of this. And I'm going to do that so I can pot up my friend, Anna Hummel.
Hello.
Hey, my camera's still working. That's good. Feel good about
sign.
that. That is a good sign. It did technology, man. I just used this thing earlier today, and it was working beautifully, like it always does. And all of a sudden, I go to use it an hour later. Nope. Refuses to work, won't stay on. So I'm even afraid to put it out there. But hopefully can stay on the stream here. Welcome to the program. My name's Will. This is Anna. And this is the Homemade Broadcast. Now, this is an audio-only show. If you go to iTunes, Spotify, and search HMB Radio, like Homemade Broadcast Radio, all one word, HMB Radio. Give it 5 stars. Tell a friend about it. Share it. Or perhaps you're watching on YouTube or the Johnny B Show Facebook or HMB Radio Facebook. Yeah, you should be following all those. I'm doing extra content when Johnny and I are off the air, which is quite often now. The Tampa Bay.
What are we looking at on average? I know it changes week to week. Is it like 2 times a week on average?
It's about twice a week. Yeah, on average to be off the air. Sometimes 3. So that's all good. Hey, I'm happy that the bone has the lightning and the lightning has the bone. It's a partnership made in heaven. And it will just give me more opportunities to build my own brand elsewhere. So yeah, that would help if people would share it. That would be good.
Please share, help me.
Yeah, please, God.
There.
Yeah. It's a tough go, but it is what I can't. I was telling my girlfriend the other day that I'm less fun. Like my life situation is making me not the person I was a few years ago, where I was just like happy to be here. Now it's just I'm angry that I'm not farther ahead, and it's like 1 step forwards, 2 step backwards, just every time, and it's so frustrating, and it's making me a worse human being, and I don't like it. It's been a topic of conversation with the both of us, watching friends of ours succeed. And I'm happy for them, but also at the same time, I'm just failing. It seems like in some ways.
Sometimes you get pushed out to move up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just I signed up to become an Amazon Flex driver this week too. So that's a 3rd job. I'll add a 4th job if you count this podcast that I do for free. So I'm looking into doing that over the holidays. It's just humiliating. Like I'm going to be 40 years old in a few years. And, I know I'm not the only one in this situation, but it's tough. It's tough.
You've also surrounded yourself with people who are extremely successful. So in comparison, and successful financially and career wise, not, you can't speak for all aspects of their life, but, when you start hanging out with those people, it's hard not to compare and be like, wow, I suck.
Yeah. I mean, that's the title of the podcast last week is I'm 40 and I suck. And I think we kind of hit on it, last week. I'm not quite 40 yet. I'll be there very soon. But yeah, it's gruel. Anyway, I had my internet went out yesterday. And it must have been like I was thinking that Putin did a DOS attack on my internet provider, because the phone didn't work when I called the service line. That didn't work. Their website was completely down. So there was just no way to report this outage. And then I remembered that we do have this thing called social media, and I see people, tag airlines and tag when they're having a bad time. And so I was like, oh, I bet you they have some sort of Twitter account or something. So I went to Wide Open West is my provider, better known as WOW. And I went, and sure enough, they do have a WOW support Twitter account. So I went, oh, good. And I clicked on it, and I was blocked from the I couldn't send him a tweet. I don't know what I did to WOW. I don't know. I mean, it's possible that maybe a few years ago, when Twitter was the Wild West, that maybe I was rude on that account. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like me, to tell you the
So
truth,
you
but I'm
clicked on the not the channel, but the profile, and it blocked you? Like,
yeah, it says WOW support. I think that was the account. You are blocked. You cannot see these tweets, send a message, anything. So I'm thinking, like, that's crazy. Number one, I don't think I said anything, but like, can they just do that? Like, can they block my number
yeah,
if I was rude on customer service? You know what I mean?
I guess so. They did, clearly, right?
I mean, it could have been a mistake. Maybe it's
Probably.
some sort of glitch. I want to call and be like, hey, why'd you block me? Could I get a customer service agent on the line? Because they couldn't, like, they could deny me service, right? They could be like, you're too abusive. We're out as far
Yeah.
as giving you internet service. But I don't think they could be like, you're banned from calling us anymore. We'll still take your money, but
Yes.
you got to have some sort of customer service available, I
Right.
would think.
I think that's part of the service that you pay for, right? Is if something goes wrong, someone's there to help you.
Yeah. And typically they're, in India, which is fine. It's globalism. I get it. But I don't know. I just found it strange. So I want to call WOW back up and be like, what did I do? Will you unblock me so I can send you tweets when my service is down? But they did get it up pretty quick. So I don't think it was Putin this time. I'll tell you, speaking of service, Anna, I invited you last weekend. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers played in Munich, Germany, faced the Seattle Seahawks. It was
And one.
and won. Yeah, the Bucks are back. The Bucks are back, I think.
Is
And
it too late?
no, oh no.
Oh,
It's still plenty of time. They're leading the division right now. Right now, they're the third seed. Going into the playoffs, there's like 8 or 9 seeds. So, if you win a division, you get a pretty high, seed. Anyway, that's beside the point. I invited you to, and I'm hesitant to mention, like, I don't like the idea of trashing businesses because everybody has a bad day. I just mentioned Wide Open West. Now I'm going right into um, speaking my displeasure, I guess, about the place I was at. You're so lucky that you did not go to this thing.
I knew it.
It was going to be like, I know that football is not your thing, but I thought it was kind of a unique thing because it was a 9:00 game, 9:30, I believe, was kickoff. It was like we were going to a place, so there was going to be alcohol and food and company and stuff like that, and it was just going to be like an event. So I thought, like, Anna doesn't like football, but Anna likes events, so
I do
maybe,
like events, but I
yeah.
don't like events at 9 a.m. usually on a Sunday.
Right. It was a little difficult, but I thought that was part of the fun. Like, I got up super early, drank. I had a great weekend last week and drank the night before, got up sort of hungover and like prepared to do it all over again in the morning. Like, I wanted to be done with the day by 5. I wanted to be in bed by 6 p.m. and then start fresh. Which I pretty much did. But I figured, oh, it's fun, and you declined. Now I went to this watch party. Should I say the business or no? And let me just preface it with this: everybody has a bad day. Sometimes nobody's perfect, And I've heard that this place has been great in the past, but for whatever reason, I was there on the day where it just did not go well.
Say it. Stop being such a P word.
Okay, all right, I'll say it. Big Storm Brewery. Oh my God, in Clearwater, dropped the ball, dude. Terrible. I
With
will say
you, or like, was it an experience that other people you think shared along with you that day?
it was the whole way around. I'm sure. Now, perhaps there was regulars there that got preferential treatment just because the people that were working maybe knew them, But we get there. They have this whole outside area set up. I wanted to sit outside. It was nice day out. All the tables were taken. Okay, that happens. We didn't get there early enough. So we go inside a little corner section of the establishment. Nice big TV right there. I will say there's plenty of TVs, which is good. So wherever you sat, you could see the game.
How many are in your party?
Only now there was supposed to be more, but I think that there was total of 6 that actually showed up, or 5, not that many. So we had a nice table of 6 to ourselves over there, and we sit down. I'm happy. The game is on. Plenty of TVs. I can hear the game. And we're just kind of waiting around. Somebody's going to be here any minute. Now, it was advertised as a Bloody Mary bar. They were going to have a breakfast that you could order, like with a special menu, Bucks themed. And I was excited, So we're waiting around. And we were waiting around at least a half an hour at this point. Then we're going, okay, what's the deal? Nobody's coming around. It's
Not
just us in there. What's that?
Not even to ask you if you want a drink?
Nope, not at this time. Now it's a bar. So somebody went up to the bar and was kind of waiting around, was going to get drinks in the meantime. There was supposed to be a Bloody Mary bar that was like $14.99. And I think it was all you can, drink Bloody Marys. The setup was an empty vat of bacon. There was clearly bacon in there. And then just like some shrimp in a container, in one of those metal containers, and some limes and lemons. No tongs for any of this stuff. So people were just grabbing it with their hands, the shrimp and the fruit. Huh?
The breakfast isn't free, right? Like you have to pay for it?
It's not free. No, the breakfast, I believe you're supposed to pay for the Bloody Mary bar as well. I don't know if anybody did that or not. I don't remember. I didn't have a bill, so I think somebody picked up the bill. Unless they forgot to give it to us. Maybe we dine and dash. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised about that either. I was pretty mortified at this, like just the idea of picking up shrimp with my bare hands and putting it in this Bloody Mary that I had to get from the bar.
Oh, that's part of the Bloody Mary. Okay. I was like, I thought that was the breakfast.
Well, some people treated it that way. Some people just loaded up with shrimp, and that's what they were eating. So the Bloody Mary bar didn't last very long at all. Finally, a guy came around. We got beers at least. And then we're like, we'll just order food now. Now, this is kickoff right around 9. I guess the game had just started. So 9:45, I would say. Ordered food.
Yeah.
We didn't get our food until the fourth quarter started, many hours later. And at that point, it was just 2 people got their food. There was still, no, I guess it was only 4 of us then. 2 people had still not gotten their food. And I'm not like one to complain, like, look, you got, everybody has a bad day. I get it. Yeah. Something happened. They're short staffed. The kitchen wasn't cruising either. But I'm like, dude, come on. Like we're in fourth quarter. We're eating. These people still don't even have their food yet. And he was like, he's like, I'm sorry. I go, all right. I get it. I get it. But what a terrible experience. You're so lucky you didn't go. You would have had a miserable time, especially if you couldn't have gotten any sort of drinks or food.
But you could go to the bar and get drinks, like you said, right? Right?
Yes, you could, but the bar was slammed. So, I mean,
the bar, okay. So everything is slammed. Okay.
Everything's slammed, and there's like the whole outside's, packed too. And they got like one server out there for like probably 100 people. So I don't know what happened with that. I see that DC says that, let's see what he says. He says, I've always had a great experience at Big Storm. Like you said about it. Yeah, I'm sure. I've been
enough. Like you don't need to keep, if they were slammed, they didn't prepare well, whatever the case may be. And you seem to be a very understanding customer. You're not like, this place always sucks. You're being very understanding. But you can also just express the fact that you had a bad experience there. And I'm glad I didn't go. Jesus, I did consider it, Will. I certainly did. And honestly, I probably would have gone. But the problem is the time. I didn't like the time. Because I'm like, Clearwater is not really close. And so I'm thinking I'll probably have to get up at 7 and run. I was like, nope. Not on Sunday. So
Yeah, I get it. But we had a good time. It was nice to watch the Bucks game. Food service could have been better. Yeah, and I'm sure just a bad day on there. I just don't like. I don't want to be that person. There's a lot of people out there that go and trash establishments and like freely if they don't get bread before their dinner. It's a whole to do online, and it's a shame. It's good and a shame that we have this ability that the plebs can like sink a business based on some bad reviews online. When you're kind of trusting that the person giving that review, you're trusting that they're not an asswipe, which is a big gamble, on
Well,
your end.
I mean, then be better. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I get some people, there's like a percentage of a-holes that are just going to be miserable no matter what. And a lot of times those are the people that take to Yelp. So I get it. But also, like, if you're getting a lot of bad reviews and then people sink your business because they don't want to go, well, then be better. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of one of those things that Google promotes and there's businesses that do this now where they're able to kind of mess with the algorithm or something or get with Google directly and kind of push those bad reviews down. But they try to give you like, this one's a 5-star, this one a 2-star. They kind of, even though it's like 2 stars from 3 years ago, and it's just like one dick that had a bad
You
time.
can look at the overall rating and it'll say like 4.7 out of 5. And you're like, okay, of course. And you take it into consideration that there's just going to be a few people who are never happy or had a bad experience, whatever. But if it's like an overall 2-star rating, like, no, I'm not going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, for sure. It's a good thing too, because you do have that where enough people have a bad experience where you're like, okay, I can't blame the people now. Like this is obviously an establishment thing. So I don't
But
know.
I think that there could be a skewed response on Yelp because people are motivated more so when they're mad than when they're happy. So if you have a really bad experience, you're probably going to go out of your way to try to screw them over somehow versus if you have a really good experience and you want to, put them over. So I would say that probably people that take to Yelp are going to skew on the side of being negative Nancy's. You know what I mean? Because people, when they feel like they've been slighted or they feel like they were not given the service that they deserved or paid for, they're more likely to write a bad review than the reverse.
True.
So I also take that into consideration as well.
Yeah, that's very true. Absolutely. So yeah, I don't know. Big storm. I'm sure it was great, but yeah, like again, I'm glad that you didn't go because you would have had a bad time. Now on the big announcement happened yesterday. President King Boomer Donald Trump announced that he's running for president a full 2 years in advance last night. What's your thoughts on that? How do you feel?
Well, we all knew it was going to happen. I think the most disheartening thing was I saw on Drudge, it was like, you know, uh, Trump announces his run for president for whatever. And then the next line was 721 days until election day. And I went, ah! I
Yeah.
don't listen to this BS for another 721 days. And that's just till the election day. Then you got 4 years, possibly more of listen, and to be honest with you, Will, if he runs against Biden, Biden probably will be dead. But if Biden decides to run, I'm obviously voting for Trump. Everybody knows this. Biden he's weekend at Burning, Bernie, was it Weekend at Bernie's? Yeah. That's basically his life right now. He's just a shell of a man, kind of shuffling his feet, just slurring words. Nobody knows even what he's up to or what's in his little cracked out head. Obviously, I'm going to vote for Trump. Not only just politically, but also he's just more competent, even though he's old as F.
Yeah. He's
I
old too, man. I will say this. I saw his announcement last night, and he looked better than he has in the past. I mean, a year or two away from the White House, it's really helped him. He's the only one that didn't look like really old by the time he
But
was
he was
done.
already kind of old when he went in. Like he was in his 70s when he went in. He's 76 right now. He looks
76,
good.
78 when if he was sworn in, or 70. Yeah, I guess he'd be 78
77.
when he gets sworn in. That's 2 years from now. He's born June 14th,
Right. So
1946.
math will be 77.
Okay, 77 and a half. All right. And then Joe Biden
He'll
is
be 80 on Sunday.
be on Sunday, November 20th. Okay. So he's going to be 81, 82, close to being 82.
Ridiculous. And to be honest with you, I just feel like I am just sick of Trump. Like, I'm just sick of hearing about it. I'm sick of January 6th. I feel like he's just oversaturated the media, and I would like him to take a step back. I'm just tired of it. And I think my sentiment is shared by many people who supported him in the past. We're ready for a younger generation of GOP or conservative, or not even conservative, but just I, on both sides. People who are a little bit more coherent, a little bit younger, competent, have a good, strong, like 8 years in them where you're not like, oh, are you going to just get Alzheimer's next summer? Like, who knows? So I am honestly just, and this has nothing to do with like politics or anything. I'm just sick of hearing about him. Speaking just from like a human perspective in terms of just straight personality and just fatigue of hearing about all this stuff. I'm just tired of hearing about Trump. I'm ready for the era of DeSantis. I am. Bring it on. And I honestly think that I would prefer DeSantis run this time. Because it's very unusual that you have back-to-back same party presidents, right? It usually goes Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, That's just kind of how it's always been. Ever like Reagan, Bush, that one kind of, but if you think about the last few, Clinton, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, like that's just kind of how it goes.
They've only had 2 terms though. I mean, it was 8 years of Obama, 8 years of George W. Bush, 8 years of Clinton, and then I guess George Bush the first only had that 1 term. But typically,
but I feel like incumbents, it's kind of a different situation because they've already like proven that they've done the job. You know, 1-term presidents are not pretty rare, but it's more usual for a president to run again and to be the leading candidate and usually to win. But anyways, with this, but as you see the switch, it's just like Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat, Republican, Democrat. So I think that DeSantis would have a better chance when everyone is sick of Biden. If everyone is sick of all the things that have happened, the economy tanked, you know, COVID handling, all that sort of stuff, that's a perfect position. And Ron DeSantis was like the prince of COVID. You know, he was the one that like saved Florida and is the kind of the champion of freedom and liberty. So I feel like this would be, as much as I would like to keep him in Florida for another 4 years, I think this is his time to run for president and to win. And
I think he has. Yeah, I think he has to. Because if you think about it, he's going to be by the next one in 2000. Would it be 2028? He's going to be gone from Florida for 2 years at that point, unless he runs for Senate or something like that. This is kind of
So he's till 26. I mean, yeah, I think he could still make himself somewhat relevant, but I think that he's so relevant right now, and everybody thinks he's going to run. And he did such a great job with Florida, in my opinion. And I think he's the guy, you know, but it's probably not going to happen if Trump runs, which he is, because that would really split the GOP and that would allow for possibly another Democratic victory. So,
it seems like Trump's getting out in front of this now. He's attacking DeSantis. He's attacking Glenn Youngkin from Virginia, governor of Virginia. He's going scorched earth on these people to try to be like, it's almost Machiavellian to a certain extent, because I think DeSantis has to do it now. If he doesn't do it in 2024, he's got to struggle to stay relevant for 2 years before the next election, unless he becomes like Trump's running mate for a VP or something, which could happen. I think that your opinion of Donald Trump at this point is pretty much how the supporters, outside of the 20% hardcore kind of base that he has, I think that most people feel this way. And I know this because I even talked to my dad about it. The boomer in my life that I take, I heed his words as the common man. And he's even like, I got mixed emotions about it. I kind of wish that he wouldn't. And he was a pretty staunch supporter of his. And definitely last election, he was more of a Ted Cruz guy before in 2016, I guess. But he jumped on the Trump train. when it became time. And I think that he's even like, all right, I just can't do it anymore. And I feel like a lot of people have that fatigue, with this. And part of it is just the probably relentless attacks that media has on him, regarding January 6th. And not all of them are wrong either. It's just like everybody's just tired of hearing about him.
Well, I can draw somewhat of a parallel in my life where there's somebody that's pretty close to me who went through something pretty traumatic and felt like they were railroaded in their career, and they lament about it all the time. When this thing first happened, um it everyone wanted to hear about it, but now 10 or so years later, a lot of people are tired of hearing about the same story about how you were railroaded and wronged. And even if you're justified, even if you're right, the election was stolen, voter fraud, et cetera, people have heard enough. They are tired of hearing about it. It's in the past, it's not relevant anymore. People want to hear, people don't care about that anymore. We've moved on. Yes, there was the shock. I'd probably say people cared for about 3, 4 months. Crazy, crazy. I can't believe this happened. But once we settled into Biden, people are now worried about gas prices. People are now worried about the housing market, about healthcare, about stuff that affects their lives, and they're sick and tired about hearing about this like overt narcissist talk about over and over again about how he was wronged and stuff like that. When people are just trying to, hey, dude, I understand you're wrong, but right now, like, what are you going to do about gas prices? Like, what are you going to do about that? Stop talking about the election that happened in the past. Talk about what you're going to do for me in the future. I think that was a big thing. And I also think that when he started, taking a dump on all the people that supported him and that were kind of part of his camp, like DeSantis and Pence and things like that, you go, okay, this guy's just going, AWOL. He's going crazy. I understand kind of why Trump is upset with DeSantis, because if you remember in 2018, the race between DeSantis and Andrew Gillum was like what,
It was-
0.5% difference
I think it was
between
even less
both.
than that. It was so
It
close.
was
Yeah.
so close. So Trump came down here and really dragged DeSantis over the finish line. And he felt that, DeSantis should be indebted to him for that, he made DeSantis. So now 4 years later, DeSantis is a potential threat, could run against him, could swipe in and take his second term. So he feels like, listen, buddy, I made you. At least have the courtesy to let me run unopposed by you, because DeSantis is Donald Trump's main threat.
Oh yeah, and DeSantis,
So
after the election that he had with the results he had this time, he's taken the kind of commanding lead as far as the early favorite to be president for the
Yep.
GOP. And maybe if DeSantis would have stayed away from him, he could have won too. It was razor close. Who knows if that hurt or helped him? I don't know. I mean,
Right.
you can't prove a negative. So
But in Donald Trump's mind,
yeah,
DeSantis won because of him.
right.
So he's saying, I pulled you across the finish line. Now you owe me, buddy. Stay out of the race. That's where he's coming from.
And maybe he will. Maybe he doesn't want to be president. I don't see that. I think everybody who wants these kinds of
Especially
jobs.
governor. It's not like he's like, I don't want the responsibility. It's like,
Yeah, everybody that wants these types of jobs wants the big jobs. So, yeah, I think he's probably going to run. And here's what I think is going to happen. Let's say, and I think that there's probably a few people that are probably going to be in there. It's pretty much just going to be Trump, DeSantis. So I don't see anyone coming up and sneaking up from behind. Like Mike Pence is going to. No, nobody wants Mike Pence. Shut up, Chris Christie. No, I mean you're old news. Nobody likes you. And I don't know who else could really get in there right now. So those people should just stay out. Let it be a 2-person race. Maybe like the lady from North Dakota or something, or the governor of Texas, or like Tim Scott or something like that from South Carolina.
Tim Scott would be a good running mate for him.
Who?
I think Tim Scott would be a good running mate for him.
Yeah, I think Tim Scott's kind of just like an establishment type of of candidate. I think he
The
would need.
optics are in his favor, so.
Yeah, I could see. I think he's got to just in the times that we're in now. Tim Scott does fit the bill as far as being in a minority camp, being a black dude. I think he's got to pick a lady though. So I know Carrie Lake lost her race. I wouldn't be surprised to see her be his VP, or maybe Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She just won governor. I don't know if she's
I
gonna.
love her.
I don't know if she's gonna want to dip out and jump in the national thing.
She was so good she was the best press secretary I've ever seen. Her ability to just stay calm, like completely not phased, just deadpan and just give it to them. I think she was the best. And there were a lot of people that were Trump's press secretary, and it wasn't an easy job trying to defend that man,
No,
so.
no doubt. Not with the media laying down a gauntlet for every single thing, too. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear her name, Elise Stefanik. That's another one. I'm sure she's Biden for that job.
Nikki Haley, maybe? I don't know.
Nah, Nikki Haley, I think is too. But yeah, maybe. But I think she's too.
An immigrant minority Republican.
She's just too establishment. She's too establishment. She's not in that MAGA camp.
To kind of grab those people and those votes. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, Mitch McConnell retained his leadership today, so no doubt.
Rick Scott.
Yeah. The Dracula from Florida. Yeah. So he's staying in leadership there, but he's like a team guy. So I would expect if Trump's the nominee that he doesn't like Trump either. A lot of people don't, but he'll make up. He's all about winning. So I don't know what's going to happen. And if Trump doesn't get it, I have a feeling that he's just going to run third party and just sink. It's just going to be whoever replaces Biden. I don't think Biden's going to be running for president again, but if he does, maybe Biden, Kamala, one of them. He'll run as a party again.
I think it's Gavin Newsom that's going to try to sweep.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Which is just like a young Biden, pretty much. Same prototype for sure. So I think if he doesn't get his way, he's gonna sink the party and be like, "Oh, you should have picked me," and he's just gonna sink them, and then it's gonna be 4 more years of what we have now.
Which kind of goes to show that he really doesn't care about America; he just cares about himself.
I mean, if it would shock me. I don't think it would. His ego would allow it. But if he loses and he goes, "Yeah, all right, vote for Ron DeSantis," then I'll be the kingmaker now since I'm out of it. Ron's my guy, or whoever he chooses, whatever puts his weight behind. I just don't see him doing that. Yeah, but I've also heard that he will only run if he thinks he can win. So he thinks if he gets a GOP nomination, he could probably win again. If you run as an independent, you're not going to win. It's just not the way the country.
F over the other guy who is your competitor. And the sad thing is like you would both be better than the other side. But spite's a very interesting emotion, You'll take a cut for yourself to impose a bigger cost on somebody else, even if it's at the detriment of everybody else. So even if we would do better with a Republican president, especially in this day and age, he'll sink it just to, as a personal grievance, vendetta against Ron DeSantis. So.
And he's got a history of that. I mean, keep in mind, he said he supported, remember, Abrams for governor 4 years ago, or was it 2 years ago, whatever it was, over that guy Kemp, because Kemp wouldn't find him the election fraud that he wanted.
Did he just say that like as a joke, or?
I don't know if it was an official endorsement, but he definitely said, I think Stacey Abrams might be all right. And he also got the 2 senators there. Said I'm afraid to say words on this on YouTube because I don't want to get banned. That's a big thing, is election stuff. But basically he said that don't bother with the special election in Georgia. It's not going to matter. And people didn't show up. And now they got 2 Democratic senators there in Georgia. So it's not like he doesn't have a history of doing things like this. I don't know. It's going to be a weird 2 years. We almost had freaking World War III pop off last night. And our press here just was so excited about it that they ran with this story immediately. In fact, the Associated Press had to do I'm trying to find a story here. Sorry. Right here. It had to do a retraction today because they put out a report, fake news, that said that Russia fired a missile into Poland, which would activate the what is it, Article 5, and basically NATO would go to war with Ukraine in this case and against Russia because Russia fired on a NATO country. It ended up being, thankfully, cooler heads prevailed over this thing, but I saw Ukraine foreign ministers tweeting about it, saying that nope, this is propaganda. Russia said we didn't do this, and they said nope, it's propaganda. Don't believe them. That they fired this missile and it's time to go. This is Article 5 time. Let's go. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed. Even Trump said it probably came from Russia in his speech last night, which was stupid. Biden came out and said we don't think it did, but we're looking into it. And then they found out that it was an accident, probably.
They said it was a Ukrainian defense missile, but to be honest with you, Will,
I
don't know what it was. I don't know what it was because I think that when they had that NATO meeting this morning, they said we cannot go to World War III over 2 Polish civilians dying. So how about we just say it was Ukraine by accident? Like, I feel like I don't know, but I just think that is probably the best way they could have swung this, because we do not want to go to war. NATO does not want to go to war over this. Russia has a lot of nukes. We do not want to do this. So I would not have been surprised if even if it was a Russian missile, they're like, nah, it was an accident, Ukraine. So,
well, yeah, it's like either it was an accident or it wasn't. I mean, it could have been maybe some sort of conspiracy of a false flag trying to lure
Ukrainian posing as a Russian. It could have been a Russian accident. It could have been a Ukrainian accident. It could have been a Russian, intention. I don't know. But all I know is I'm very happy with how they decided to swing it after the meeting, that it was a mistake on behalf of the Ukrainian defense system. So I'll take it because I want to live to see another day, please.
Yeah, but our press went right out there and reported that Russia fired a missile into Poland and almost got, and that would sway popular opinion. Certainly, a lot of people here in the country already want to go to war, and there's a lot of people in NATO that want to go to war. Many of them women for some reason. I don't know why, but they want to go to war. And there's people with Ukrainian flags in their Twitter handles that are very adamant about going to war while they sit at home on type on their iPhone. So I don't know. And then this would just definitely maybe sway some people if the Associated Press, the trusted press here in this country, prestige organization. I mean, what is the takeaway from that? If Russia fired a missile into Poland, it's time to go to war. So I don't know. That's why part of me thinks, like, was this some sort of false flag where they were trying to convince the American people that it's time to go now? And maybe they thought better of it. Just said, it's not going to work. I don't know. I'm glad it didn't work though. And
I
don't like. Do you really hear about Ukraine much anymore? It's still in the front of my mind, but I feel like I'm a news junkie, so I kind of
I seek it out. But yeah, no, I hear about it all the time. But I also
news
a lot of podcasts. I don't watch a lot of mainstream news. Well, I mean, I look at like headlines on CBS News and New York Post, Drudge Report, which is more of like a news aggregate. But I mean, again, I'm also seeking it out because I'm trying to really learn and understand. I've been listening to this podcast called The Rest is History. And I listened to this whole podcast about like Gorbachev and his rivalry with Boris Yeltsin and how that gave rise to Putin. Like, it's a whole thing. So I'm really interested in history because a lot of people are like, oh, Ukraine, this is terrible. We should get in there. It's like, hold on. Let's look at the history because we're looking just at a snapshot right now of what's happened in the last, 10, 11 months. Why did Russia invade? So I started kind of doing really more of a deep dive, which most people don't do because most people are lazy. So, so I guess it is on the forefront of my mind because I'm seeking it out. But no, it's more. I guess you're right. It's kind of just Kanye hates Jews. I guess that's what we want to focus our time on.
Yeah, even that. I haven't heard anything about that this week. I don't know. I don't watch any kind of prestige press or anything anymore. All the news that I get from Twitter, and I follow a bunch of different outlets. I follow all the prestige outlets: New York Times, Washington Post, Fox, all of those, and then all the weird ones, Zero Hedge and some other ones that I follow. I can't think of off the top of my head, and I try to piece the world together the best I can. But most of the times it's just gut instinct. I really don't know. I can read what I can read, and then I just kind of trust my gut with the rest. But yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that they didn't get us yet into this active war that's going on. And seems like, didn't what's his name, the president of Ukraine, kind of say, all right, we'll talk to Putin now. And I'm like, okay, that's good.
I didn't hear that. I heard him saying call to action last night, and I was like, can we not listen to this guy right now?
Yeah, I've had enough of him.
He doesn't care about everybody else. I'm not trying to drag Russia into World War III. Russia and United States have collectively 90% of the nukes on the planet. Russia has more nukes than the United States. And I know there's like a difference, like we have more like ready to go, but they have more total. But who cares? All it takes is one or two and the earth implodes. So I don't understand why we're having this conversation. They have thousands of nukes. So I'm like, how about we don't mess with them? How about we
I hope it gets sorted out soon. I don't know. I passively pay attention to it and keep my fingers crossed. And I know there's not much of anything I can really do. But I don't know. So hopefully the press doesn't kill us all, even though I think they would love the opportunity. And I think that's where most people can find some sort of common ground, no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, is that the press is prestige press is not now we're not going to say enemy of the people, but they may not be telling you the truth. And there's plenty of instances of examples that you can show. So I get why some people just go, it's a news. Why would they lie? This is just, I got too much to do. This is where I go for my source. And this is what I believe. I get that. But you got to know that they screw up a lot, that they're only human too. And if it's not ideology that's driving them, maybe they're just bad reporters and they make mistakes. And, you should be dubious of anything that you hear right now. But Anna, I know you got to go. Are you back in karate now? Is your knee healed?
Nope, not back. Probably not going to go back to the new year after the. Yeah, I went last Monday and it was bad.
What is your plan for Thanksgiving?
I am actually going to be spending it with the Clems.
Whoa, lovely. Yeah.
I know the people that we usually spend it with. They're doing something on Thanksgiving Day, but on your actual birthday, which is the day following Thanksgiving, they will be having a dinner. So I don't know if you'll be in attendance for that, but I think I'm going to be there for that. I think that's
okay. I'm not really sure either, to tell you the truth. But I'll figure it out by week. It's next week, right? It's the 16th today.
Yes.
So yeah, Thanksgiving is, oh my God,
from tomorrow. And then your birthday is Friday.
Birthday is the 25th on Friday. Be 40 years old.
No, it'd be 38.
38. Very exciting. Anna, thanks so much. It's good to see you, and hopefully I see you next week.
Okay, we'll do. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. I see David Council left a few comments there. I'll get to those real quick. He said, I hope this war ends before the next president gets elected. No telling how a war-hungry politician would handle this incident. War is great for the economy and approval numbers. Yeah, it is. Yep. And then he said maybe he'll convince Ronnie D to run for vice president. Could be. That could be. Consolidate that ticket, and everyone would kind of be happy. I think. I don't know. I think everybody's just sick of it all, even more than usual. Thanks so much, folks. We'll be on the Johnny B Show tonight at 10 on The Bone, theboneonline.com. And Friday, we will be live as well. I think Johnny had a comedy show that got postponed or canceled, so he'll be there on Friday. And I'll have a new video tomorrow and podcast on the 17th. Already done, ready to go, about FTX and Tom Brady, the connection there. So make sure you check that out. Subscribe. HMB Radio, Homemade Broadcast Radio, all one word. Subscribe on iTunes and Spotify, and give it 5 stars. Share it, all that stuff. Follow me on Twitter, home_made_man. Same thing on Instagram. HMB Radio on Facebook. Thanks so much for checking it out, and we'll talk to you soon.